Colin Ginch from Retrotec, and today we're going to talk about the Retrotec smoke buffer. Each one comes in its own storage tube in order to keep the chemicals that are inside away from corroding metal or electronics and so on. When you first get the smoke buffer, you open it up and you'll notice several things. First thing that you notice is the MSDS instructions, or the MSDS with instructions I should say. Instructions are on one side, the MSDS are on the other. Now the MSDS, when you read them, it sounds pretty dangerous. It does have chlorine in it, there's no doubt, but I believe that the instructions are meant for larger quantities of titanium tetrachloride, which is the chemical that's inside, than for small quantities. The way that chemical is contained inside the smoke buffer is, first of all, it's inside this storage tube. And then secondly, it's inside this Teflon puffer case, which is one of the few plastics, or one of the only plastics that will resist its corrosive effects. Then the smoke itself is a liquid that's inside a glass vial that's in about here somewhere, that is protected by a plastic collar that you can feel if you squeeze all the way down, like that. Now the rest of the construction consists of a special wadding material that we put into the bottom, two-part wadding material, one fiberglass, one natural cotton, in order to properly absorb the materials. And on the end we have a little hose, and if you squeeze it, air comes in and out, and at this point of course there's no smoke because it hasn't been charged. In the uncharged position or situation, this has an indefinite shelf life. It can sit around in this condition for 10 years or so and not cause any problems whatsoever. When you are ready to charge the smoke buffer, then you simply fold the smoke buffer in two after removing this plug, and you'll hear that the end of the glass vial will break off. Now, if we were to see inside there, you'd see a 10 milliliter glass vial with the bottom broken off, and you can see a little tiny bit of smoke coming out the top right now. We'll just put the cap in there. The way the cap works is it's a cap in this position and it's a nozzle in this position, and we call it a cap nozzle. You can see a little bit of the smoke coming out there. Now it will take about 10 minutes for the smoke buffer to get up to full strength. And in that 10-minute period, what's happening is the liquid inside the smoke buffer is draining into this material down here, into this wadding material down here. And when the smoke buffer is squeezed, air comes down this tube, it mixes in with the chemical, and it comes out the end. And you'll see that in just a minute. Now while that's draining into that absorbent material, we're just going to set it aside for the time being, and we'll take another closer look at the case. Now, in spite of the fact that there are instructions inside and on the outside that tell you this, I don't think that very many people notice that there's a spare cap nozzle, T, and hose inside this storage compartment. And the reason why they don't notice it is that it's kind of hidden in the bottom. And the parts that I'm referring to are this T, which is the cap nozzle, and this little piece of rubber hose. The titanium tetrachloride is strong enough that it will eventually, after about 3 months, make this rubber hard and stiff and possibly brittle, and it might just break off. At that point, this piece of hose gets pulled off, this little Teflon tube that's coming out the end, and it can be replaced. Now let's just take a look at where they are. Now they are a little bit difficult to get out, which is probably the reason why most people don't find them. Now the first thing that comes out is this little package, and this is a package of, I believe it's called desiccant, and it removes the moisture from the air. And the reason why we have that in there is that moisture and titanium tetrachloride together produce smoke. So when the air comes in that has moisture in it and it contacts the titanium tetrachloride, it produces very small molecule combinations of one titanium tetrachloride molecule and one water molecule connected together, and that is visible. So that the actual particle of smoke is so tiny it's actually on the molecular level, which is the reason why it works so well as smoke, that the smoke particle is so light that it has virtually no weight of its own, so it doesn't rise or fall, and it only moves when air currents move it. Now, we have managed to get the two T's out, but we haven't managed to get the hose out, and we'll take a look at that in a second. If we take a close look at the T, we'll notice that this end is plugged up. In fact, we have these made specially for us, and this end is open, so the smoke can go through this way. When it's put in this way, it acts as a cap. Now, the reason why we make the cap nozzle like that is that if you were to use this smoke puffer and take this cap and set it down, it would probably be the last time you would see it. So this is a way of storing it, while you're using it, and also a way of making a nice even stream of smoke that you can get from this small nozzle. Now let's take a look at that little rubber hose in there. It's very, very difficult to see, but if you look carefully in the bottom there, you can actually see the hose curled around, and the hose is just this length and it's folded over. So you can either whack it out, and I can't seem to get this one out, or take this piece of tape off, pop this end off, and you can have the little hose pop out and you can replace it if need be.